I remember hearing you say that in Africa, the kids would have jobs at 7 years old.
Yes, man.
Like, what do you mean by jobs? Like washing the dishes?
No, like going out and selling things in the marketplace. Africans, we are hustlers, man. We start at a young age, going with our mother in a marketplace, selling whatever. Whether you pick the fruit from your backyard and you're gonna sell fruits, whatever. Kids start working at a very early age.
Right.
You know, especially those who cannot afford to go to school. They have no choice but to go to work with their parents.
And is they parents sending them to work, or the kid is like, I want to work at 7?
The parents take them as helpers.
Wow.
You know, because a lot of times they can't afford to go to school, so you have to do something at a young age. Kids start selling at a very young age, man. That's why Africans were very good with numbers.
Right.
You know,
and the best bootleggers in the world too.
That too, mother sucker.
Okay, so you seeing the kids work at an early age.
Yeah.
What makes you say, all right, let me go back and let me build the education so these kids have an option not to work? Is that one of the things?
Yeah, that's what happened, man. I went back home for the first time after being in America, and that was back in 2001. I've been in America for about 15 years.
All right.
And I said, you know, I worked, just did a cameo in my first movie next Friday. Shout out to Ice Cube.
Wow. It's your first time going back to Africa?
That was my first time going back home after being in America.
Right.
You know, and I went back home, went back to where I was from, you know, and I'm walking around doing daytime, and I'm like, why these kids out here not in school?
Right.
Because in America, a parent's going to jail if your kid's out in school. It's against the law. I'm like, why these parents out in jail?
What is it called? Truancy. Yeah.
And then I noticed, you know, so I was asking, like, hey, why didn't you don't have schools? They said, well, you know, a lot of time they have government school, which is also known as public school.
Right.
You know, and it's not totally free. Certain things are free, but they can't enforce simple things as uniform or books, stuff like that. You know, but then the government schools fills up really fast. So then only options left is private schools, and you cannot afford a private school over there. And that's what have these kids out here with nothing to do. They just have no choice but to learn how to start selling things in the marketplace. And that really, you know, touched my heart. I'm like, God, I got to do something about this.
Right.
You know, and then and mind you, at the time, I barely had enough money. I just did next Friday. I ain't make much money.
But this is when you got the vision.
That's when I got the vision. I got a vision 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, let me go back to America and really get my work on. And then I came and I was busting my ass for the next 20 years. You know, saved up some money. You know, we'll fast forward to like 2019. I went back. I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to start. Let me find a land. Let me find the right place. And my mother had a land in a village where, you know, where she was born. She said, hey, let's use this land. She
owned it?
She owned the land. The land had belonged to my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
When she passed, she gave it to my mom. This is
the shit they don't talk about Africans. See, your mother
we own
land. You know what I'm saying?
Africa,
and land and giving it to the next generation. That's some fly shit, see? Everyone think it's a cattle and shit.
No.
Yeah.
We ain't got no 40 acres and a mule over there.
They think when your parents die, they give you a sheep, and that's it.
Most of the time, leave you a land, you know. And
wow,
my mother had nothing big, probably 2 acres, maybe something like that, an acre and a half. But the land was big enough to build a school, have a playground, build a house, and even build a church. You know, because that's how I grew up. My mother was an evangelist.
Wow.
You know, she grew up installing God into me from day one.
Right.
And then, you know, I said, okay, you know, that way you don't have no dispute with land, because one of the biggest problems in the continent of Africa is land dispute. A lot of time you'll buy land from somebody and that nigga don't sell the land to like 3 other people. So it's a big fight about land. So I'm like, let's go to the land that we know is safe. This land belongs to the family. You know, let's stick with that. And it was a lot easier. And then, you know, started the process.
Right.
And you know, I know you mentioned the school's being built, but the school is built. The kids are in school already.
But they're in school?
They're in school, man.
Shit, make some noise for that.
That's right.
And that's equivalent to like a private school out there.
It's a private school that's gonna be totally free for the kids.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like kindergarten to 9th grade, because the last president, what he did to help him win, He made 10th, 11th, 12th grade completely free.
In
Ghana.
Okay, cool.
You know, so 10th, 11th, 12th became free. I said, okay, no, I'm not going to touch the free one. Since it's free, let me just start from kindergarten to 9th. That's where the most expenses are when it comes to school.
All right, so how about you being the owner? How about a kid is in the classroom being a clown?
Right.
Do you suspend him? This is how you made a living. This is
yeah,
what brought to school.
I became a clown when I got to America, motherfucker. African kids, for some reason, we just admire school. We look up to school. Like means the whole world to us because it's a privilege.
Right.
Because everybody don't get a chance to go to school, obviously.
Right.
So when we go to school, it's all about our education, our books. We listen and we learn.
Right.
You know, African kids take school very seriously.
But this is gonna be the one kid that's trying to be like Michael Blackson is going to be the, you know what I mean? He's gonna want to sit up and throw spitballs and shit. You know what I'm saying? Throw the paper planes. You know what I mean?
Hey, it's possible, man. I'm hoping I can open the doors to bring out more comedians.
Right.
You know, because there's a lot of money into telling jokes. So I'm not gonna stop the kids from being who they are. Right. The majority of the kids coming there to become lawyers and doctors and accountants. You know, that's what most African kids want to be: a doctor and accountant.
But coming from there, how did you know? Like you said, most kids want to be doctors, lawyers, accountants, and things like that. How did you develop your comedy? Like, what made you say, I like to make people laugh?
Well, you know, when I came to America, the kids in America clown me so much, and you know, I mean, dog. I had no idea I was dark skinned until I came to America.
And the African booty scratch?
I didn't know we scratched our booty. Like, I had, you know, back when I was a kid in Africa, things have changed now. America has kind of like, you know, influenced a lot of the children now. But prior to then,
I used to go to school with the African kids that wore the Jamaican belts. They was trying to blend in. You know what I'm talking about?
What was the Jamaican belt?
You know, the Marcus Garvey belt. You know, the colors. And they're trying to say rude boy. It's not the same rude boy African guy.
You know, with me, when I came to America during the era of light-skinnedness. The barge.
I'll be sure?
I'll be sure.
Oh, Color Me Bad?
Color Me Bad.
Oh,
Name
God.
all the light-skin committee.
Oh, shit.
Life didn't get better for me until
the was in the Drake era before the Drake era.
Yes.
Holy shit. Okay, I understand.
When I got here, it was like we was not in style.
Let me get you some champagne.
Give me some champagne. Let's go.
I felt your pain. I've been trying to be dark skinned for 25 years. I'm the only Negro that want to go darker. Everybody want to get lighter or some shit. I want to go darker, man. Yeah. Let's get him some champagne. Make some noise, baby. Man.
But you know, when I came, you know, like I said, I had no idea I was dark-skinned. I remember coming to America, I was like 13, 14 years old.
And not the movie, part 2. Not Coming to America, the movie.
No,
I like
this
how
is my
you
real life,
entendre.
motherfucker. This is my real motherfucking life.
That's how smart you are. You heard? You heard? Let's go. That's why you got school. That's why you got. But coming to America, you found out you dark-skinned.
I came to America, I found out I was dark-skinned. This is how I found out. I'm hanging out with some, you know, little kids my age. And they're like, oh, you black? I said, of course, we are all black. They said, no, nigga, you black as shit. I'm like, how black is that? They say, you under the bed black, nigga.
Yes.
Have you looked under the bed lately?
Yes.
Motherfucker, that's dark as shit.
Yes.
They told me I look like I have no bright ideas.
Yes.
They told me the difference between me and midnight is 11:59. Oh my goodness. They said when God said let there be light, I was out of town. They told me I could never tell a white lie. They told me I look like I smoke cigarette backwards. They told me every time I take a shit, I think my dick fell off. They told me Stevie Wonder sees me every day. That's dark as shit. They told me I have to wear white gloves before I eat chocolate. Oh my God. So I don't bite my fucking fingers.
Champagne for him. I'm gonna do a vodka and a club soda with lemon.
Jamie, a man, Ace.
He is not Ace approved.
They told me if Black Lives Matter, mines matter the most. That's black as hell.